Hey, Lakewood.
Lake Shivers, Florida.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Rick,
Hello.
Daryl,
Stephanie.
This the fellow from Maryland. How y'all doing?
good,
Good.
good.
Well,
Hello,
doing well.
How are you?
Who's that from Maryland?
Maryland making money.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started with our introduction and everything, and then we'll get rolling. So what we're going to be talking about today. Oh, let me cut my camera. Let me cut my other camera. Hold on. All right, so what we're going to be talking about today is what you say when you call these companies, because I keep getting questions about this, and I'm sure the other trainers are getting questions about this, and we keep talking about the Lamar Renault script, and then people keep saying, well, they said this back, and people still mixed up, and they saying the Lamar Renault script to the gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper don't need to hear that, and you know, just so forth and so on. But I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different today. So when we're saying different things that we say, I'm going to be typing them out into a script on a Google Doc so that everybody can have it. So if you writing or typing on your own, that's totally fine. But I'm going to type some things up as we talking so that you guys will have it. You know, there's just some different things that you can say. So we're going to get into that today here, just so people just have a better idea. Because I know sometimes it's, you know, especially for me, I'm unscripted. So scripts for me I'm learning to put them together for people who just are scripted, because some people totally are scripted, some people totally aren't scripted. So hopefully between all the different trainers, and we'll have some different conversations, but we'll do our introductions first, and then we'll go into that. So this is episode 81. If you're looking at this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video if you like the video. If you don't like it, just don't do nothing. How about that? That's where we at with that. So yeah, we're excited. I know everybody's getting ready for the conference and all that good stuff. But guess what? We got to be working every single day. And another thing we're going to be talking about today is calendaring, getting these items on your calendar so that you can make sure, right? So I'm going to do a quick rundown, and it's probably going to take me, I'm going to probably use all of maybe 10 minutes to do a quick calendar thing. So you got a quick calendar run through so you guys can see why you need to do action plans and then why you need to get things on your calendar so that you can work it. Nobody tell me today that I make calls on a blitz. We know that. I need you to make calls when it's not a blitz, because it's your business and you shouldn't require Legal Shield to be doing a blitz for you to make phone calls. You should have your own blitz that you're doing in your own business. You should be making calls because you know that it's a good day to make calls. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today too. So yes, all of that in 50 minutes, 47 minutes, right? We're going to get all that done. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my business partner here, my good friend, Miss Sharanda Ivy, so that she can do her introduction. And hello, everybody on YouTube too. I know we're on YouTube Live, so I know some people there. So welcome everybody. And Sharanda Ivy, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can get started.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. So for the ones that don't know me, I'm Sharanda Ivy. I live here in Byron, Georgia, about an hour and a half from Atlanta. It's considered middle Georgia. Been with Legal Shield 9 years, 50K ring earner, Emerald Elite Associate, one of the top producers in small biz, and we've written over 1,000 productions. We've earned the 1,000 production app award, and earned the Ladies of Justice Field Trainer of the Year award as well. And so just chose this as my major a few years ago, and it has really changed my business. So I come to this call to definitely to support and also learn as well. I host the accountability call on Thursday nights, more like a mastermind call there. And just working with individuals every single day to help them reach their goals. So glad everyone is here. If I can definitely be of assistance to you, I'm the state CDLP trainer. Say for Georgia, because I'm in Georgia, but I actually train all over, no matter what state you are. That's how I earned the Ladies of Justice Award. So we all are able to have that that ability to train wherever. So it's about 6 of us state trainers, CDLP solutions trainers. And I think all of us actually train all over to help in all the different states. So definitely if I can help build an assistance to you, don't hesitate to reach out. And if you are working in the space and want some accountability, that accountability call is a good place to start. So with that, I pass it over to you, John.
Thank you, Sharonda. My name is John Hoffman. I'm on the western part of the United States, CDLP trainer. I've been in Legal Shield for 14 years. The CDLP is what attracted me to Legal Shield because my business I had at the time had to deal with truck tires, and I was selling to a lot of trucking companies and truck drivers. And I saw a lot of the issues they were having. I was always trying to figure out something I could sell to them extra besides tires to diversify my business. And I tried everything from these fancy LED lights. You know, they would spend $1,000, making these trucks look like Christmas trees at nighttime. And I felt bad about that. But when I saw Legal Shield, I thought this is something that I could offer to them that was going to actually put money in their pocket. And when I found out how good our membership works, our CDLP membership works, I think it's probably the one membership that works the best in our portfolio of services. But I also work in the Legal Shield and the small business solutions area too. Trucking companies need our services, and especially when they came out with interstate services with our small business plans, they kind of opened the door to a lot of trucking companies with that service. So that's been very beneficial to my business. I look forward to working with other associates in California, certainly in the West Coast, and in other states. I'm working with several associates already. As time allows, I find out when I do that, that kind of takes my momentum away from my business a little bit. So I have to monitor that a little bit. But I do enjoy working with other associates, making calls to trucking companies if they have a list of companies, and if they don't have a list, I can furnish them a list. Okay, Robert, back to you.
All right, wonderful. So good stuff. So my name is Robert Dunbar. I've been with Legal Shield for 13 years. I've been a CDLP trainer for 4 to 5 years. I've been a trainer on the networking side as well with the company. I just love working with the company, love working with the people. I chose CDLP to spend the rest of my time in this business because it's not overrun. It's not as much competition. I think the product, so I'm in agreement with John. I feel like that product works better because it's really, it's niche the way it is, specifically to an audience that doesn't have a whole lot of things or people or products protecting it. So it was a need in a company for it to be more people to take this side of the business serious on the training side and on the field side. And I think the company has done a great job of building a great field training team, a great training team on the CDL side to show everybody how to make money on this side of the business. And it's a great door opener to sell the other plans too as well, because the CDL guys, they got their ears open. You can have a great conversation with them. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Getting to the person that needs to make the decision for you as you do CDLP and work in this space. So before we get started into the script type things, one of the first things I think I want to do is do a little bit of showing you where you need to make it a goal to make a certain amount of calls and how you need to add those calls to your calendar. Because before I talk about making calls, before we talk about what you should be saying to somebody, most of you all have to have on your calendar to make calls in the first place, because this is going to be really great for you to write some things down you can say. But if you're going to get up tomorrow and don't make calls, and get up Wednesday and don't make calls, and so forth and so on, then guess what? It doesn't matter what kind of script you have. It doesn't matter what information you know, how you rebut things, how you overcome objections or avoid objections. If you don't make calls, you're not going to be able to get a chance to do that. And if you don't have certain things on your calendar, you normally won't do it. There's a few of us on the line that will probably make calls without them being on the calendar, but most of us will make more if they were on the calendar. So if you agree with that, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. Trainers, raise your hand if you agree with that. I know they're gonna agree. I know they're gonna agree with that because they train us and they know that, right? They know you gotta have it on your calendar when they call. So let me pull something up. Don't mind me looking in another direction. Got more than one screen up here. So I am going to do a quick screen share. And that should help us out here. Let's see. Screen share. That. All right, so those are going to be some different responses that we're going to be looking at, but we're also going to look at a quick sheet. If you guys could bear with me 1 second. And some of you all have seen this before, what I'm going to show you all, but sometimes it's worth looking at things again. All right. All right, so I'm gonna fly through something real quickly. All right, so if you say, and I'm gonna put my own numbers in here, guys. You would use your own numbers for something like this, not this particularly, and so just write these things down as they appeal to you, and also for the most part, you all should have this sheet because I pretty much sent this out to everybody a long time ago, like a few months ago at the end of last year. So if you don't have this, just let me know, but I pretty much sent this out in a few different emails to people to download. So you should have this and it's fillable. So let's just say you say, I'm going to start making at least 20 calls a day. That's doable. It's 20 calls a day doable, guys? Put a 2 in the chat at 20 calls a day is doable. I know we should be making a lot more, but I want to take it easy on some people that might be thinking, man, 20 calls a day, right? And let's be fair and say, if you're not calling on Mondays and Fridays, that you're only making calls Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right? Again, we would highly suggest you make more calls than that. But again, I want the people who can't make that amount of calls to not feel like this is not for them. So if you're making calls Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and you say, make 60 calls per week, right? Real simple, put in there. And then for specific, I'm going to say, make 20 calls per day on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right? That's what I'm doing for my goal. And then I'm going to say, make these calls. Don't mind my spelling. Make these calls. Oh, let me cut this camera off so I don't be confusing people. Don't look at me, guys. Look at the notes. Make these calls. Let's see, 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. No, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. You don't have to make yours that time. I'm just putting the time here. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., 2 hours a day. Shouldn't take you 2 hours to make 20 phone calls, guys. But again, I'm just giving you guys an example here. You should know how long it takes you to make a certain amount of calls. If you don't, when you start making calls, you will find out really quickly how long it should take you to make calls and document what happens on the call. So make these calls 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., right? I'm just putting this down. And why are we writing this down as a goal? Because every single thing that you're doing in your business, if you're going to agree to do a specific thing to earn a specific amount of money, you have to write this stuff down, guys. If you don't write it down, it's probably not going to happen. It's just releasing it from your brain and getting it on paper. So if that makes sense, everybody put a 3 in the chat. If it makes sense, put a 3 in the chat. So make 20 calls per day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make these calls 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. That ends up being 60 calls, right? Is this measurable? Of course it is. Of course it's measurable. every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Check and see if you made the calls, right? And corporate is already doing Tuesday, so you already got that knocked out. So Tuesday is already in the bucket because we got a blitz going on Tuesday. So you can do the blitz on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday and Thursday, you're calling on your own. So just set yourself up again on Thursday, on Wednesday and Thursday, the same way you did to make calls on Tuesday, right? So now you got yourself up to about 60 calls, right? Some of you that's doing more than that, just add to what you're doing. If you're already past this level, then just add to it, whatever you're doing so that you can make more calls, unless you're already maxed out. If you're maxed out, then congratulations, you're making enough calls. That's really good, but still write them down. Write down what you're doing because you want to document what you're doing, and you want to document it because you can help people on your team do the same thing, and also you can help your accountability partner. And if you ever have somebody making calls for you, you want to have documented what you're doing so they've got a roadmap to do it on their own. So I hope that makes sense. So can you reach the goal right into the taking into account the available time? Yes, of course you can. Of course you can make 20 calls in 2 hours, right? So 2 hours is enough time. I have the skill set to make the calls. And if you don't, we're going to talk about the skill set today, right? When we talk about the scripting and all that stuff, I have the skill set to make the calls. And there are no finances required. Now, the only finances that would be required would be finances required. The only finances that would be required would be, obviously, if you didn't have a phone and you needed to get a phone, right? That would be finances, because I don't know anybody's situation. So you have to have a phone or Google Voice, which is free, wherever you're, whatever you're calling from and all that kind of stuff. So those are all, that's as much finance as you can need. You don't need finance for anything else, right? So no finance required. So you have 2 hours is enough time. You got the skill set to make calls. If you don't, we're going to talk about that today. And then there are no finances required. So let's scoop down this sheet to action items, right? So we're going to make 20 calls, 3 days per week. And that is going to be what? Tuesday. Why am I writing the same thing over and over again? Because it's repetitive. You need to. And you shouldn't even be asking that question if you're not making calls right now, because that means what you're doing is not working. No offense. Make 20 calls, 3 days per week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? Let's go ahead and start tomorrow, which is 29th, 3/29/2022. So now that I have this action item, I need to make 20 calls per week. What do I do now, right? What should be my next step? My next step is probably going to be to go to Google. And now I'm gonna go ahead and go to my calendar, and I'm gonna put them on my calendar right now. Why? Because when I'm setting this up, you need to get this on your calendar immediately, not later on, but right now, so that you can square it away and you know that it's there. So let's go to, I'm gonna move this out to just some random other time, guys. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the date I'm using. I'm just putting a different time. So I'm gonna say June. I'm gonna say the 2nd. Allow. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I got some other foolishness going on here. All right. So I said 9 a.m. So when I go to more options on my calendar, on my Google Calendar, I'm just gonna put make CDL calls. That's it, nothing complicated. I'm going to put 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's it. If you've got a workout partner, somebody that you make calls with, anything like that, add them to the calendar so that you guys are both there at the same time. So you're just going to add that person there. So if I was making calls and Sharanda was my workout partner, I would just put Sharanda in there, right, as my workout partner. So she gets that alert too, right? I'm going to color code that. Whatever color is my calling legal shield color, I'm going to do that, put that there. And I'm just going to put here, make my 20 calls. And if I want to use this as a place to take notes, I can, right? So I can say, make my 20 calls, and I can say, call 1. Call number 1, ABC Trucking. And then I can put the notes on whatever happened. Boom, right? I got that there. And then when I finish making that call, I can say, call number 2, right? DEF Trucking. And I'm gonna put the notes from that trucking company below. And I can keep on doing that while I make my calls. You can copy and paste that information afterwards to whatever CRM you use. So wherever you're keeping your stuff, generally speaking, all you gotta do is copy and paste, guys. You're typing it. You're just doing it here because you're here. Once you got it here, you can go in here, you can copy and paste each one of these responses wherever you would normally keep your stuff. I keep mine inside of Google Calendar, but you may not do that yourself. If you don't do it yourself, don't worry about it. Put it wherever you put it. All you need to do is copy and paste and put it there, right? So the reason why you're doing this, right? So I put that, make my calls. I'm gonna go ahead and save that. When I hit send, it's gonna send an email to Sharanda, reminding her of this, right? So I'm gonna put don't send to Sharanda because I don't want her to get an unnecessary email. And that's it. So now I've got these calls, make CDL calls. Now all I have to do is go back here, click on it, go to options, click, duplicate this. And now I can duplicate it for Wednesday, right? And now I got it over again here for Wednesday. So when I go to make my Wednesday calls, it's already on my calendar. And all I got to do is save. I'm not going to send it to Sharanda, right? I would normally send it to Sharanda, but I'm not in this example. See it there? And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to duplicate it. Now, you can go in here originally and just do it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of every week and do it one time and just make it reoccurring. You can do that as well. I'm just doing it this way just to show you another way of doing it is to duplicate it. So I can just duplicate it again and then say this is for the 9th. So now I got it for all 3 days here. If you wanted to do this and not have to go in and do it 3 times that way, all you would have had to do was go there, and when you created it in the first place, all you had to do was go to does not repeat, click on it, click on custom, and then you could have made it work that way. You could have said Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday repeat 1 every week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right? Ends never. And when I click done, every Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, it would set up a call day for me on my calendar. Boom, it's done. I got 2 hours of call time, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for every week. It's now on my calendar. There's no reason for me not to be doing it because it's locked in. Nothing else will pop up and get in the way because it's on my calendar. And if you have a calendar appointment scheduling app, it won't schedule appointments on those days and times because you've already got calls, right? So if that makes sense to everybody, put 4 in the chat. I know what number you want, put 4 in the chat. So that's what I like to have people do once you make the decision, you're gonna make those calls, get them on your calendar immediately. And then you want to also make sure that you put any things in here that may deal with any particular thing that may get in the way so that you are prepared for it, right? So potential obstacles, not finding the time to make calls. How do you deal with that? Put the call time on your calendar or decrease the amount of calls if you can't do enough calls, if you don't have enough time for calls. So put the call time on your calendar. That's what I would do to prevent from being able to find the time to do it. So place the calls on your calendar. Now, again, realistically speaking, if you're saying, what if I still can't find time to make calls, then guys, you're not in business. You can't run a business if you can't make phone calls. If you can't prospect, you need to go get a job. I mean, sorry. If you can't make calls to prospect, and if you can't knock on doors, then whatever else it is you do for a living, you need to just keep doing that. Because you can't build a business if you can't make time to prospect people. That's just a reality and what we're dealing with. You've got to be able to make time to make calls to build your potential clientele base in order for you to make money, right? Can't find businesses to call, right? Join the chamber. Pull companies to one of the different websites that John and Sharanda and Randy Hooker and Lamar Reynolds and Alan Roman talks about, where you can pull companies. So there's no shortage of companies to call. So that won't be an obstacle, not in CDL, because we've given you too many different ways to pull companies. So that won't be an issue, right? I don't have a small business pitch that wouldn't count. And if you don't have a pitch for CDL, that's what we're about to talk about. So you don't have to worry about that either when it comes to potential obstacles, because we're going to solve that problem now. So again, this is just a quick rundown of, you need to put something this small, just you making calls 3 days a week, that needs to be on your calendar, because if it's on your calendar, you can make sure that you're doing those specific things. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me go here to this. And before I move on and say anything else, Sharanda and John, do you guys have anything to add to that so far? So I'll be talking for an hour and y'all just sitting there like y'all in the audience.
Well, yeah, Robert, in one of the books that Jeb Blunt talks about, he says creating a time block. That's what it's really called. It's a time block where you make your calls, and you have to find a space to do it in where you're not interrupted by, a barking dog or children. You close a door, maybe lock yourself in a closet if you have to, but find a quiet space, where you can make those calls where you're not interrupted, or you can just really concentrate on doing it. Be amazed how easy that is to do that way.
And for those that don't know what that is, that would be just me simply saying, I'm going to make calls from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Click on that, more options, open it up on your computer, and just put call block. Make sure you're setting your call block up for a time like John just said, when you don't have to walk the dog, the kids aren't walking in from school, you don't have something else you need to be doing. You need to be setting a call block up for a time when you know that there's nothing else going on that's going to distract you from making the calls. When you're doing your calls, you should not be doing laundry, you should not be putting food in the stove, you should not be playing with your dog and your cat at the same time, you should not be trying to watch your own kids or anybody else's kids. It needs to be a time that is dedicated to you strictly making calls so that you can grow your business. So you could just put call block, right? And you can put those on your calendar randomly if you want to. Call blocks, 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock, right? And you can put that there and you can say, my call blocks are always going to be, where's my colors at? I don't know what I did here, but I don't see my colors. And if I want to add a notification to remind me right before it's time for me to make my calls, I can say 10-minute notification, and then I can notify myself an hour before the call block so that I do whatever I need to do to prepare myself. You can put as many as you want, right? You can put as many notifications here as you want to put here. Just set your call block up, and then when you save it, it'll be there as a call block. Block on your calendar. Put those on your calendar, call block, so that you can make those calls. So that's what John is talking about doing there. Sharanda?
Well, I use the 12-week year, so I do calendar everything my day. I've been doing the 12-week year now for about 3 years, and it does help kind of keep me definitely knowing what I'm doing, and having that time. And then I do use Calendly too, but for the most part, I don't. In the mornings, I really, it's time is just taken up. So like, I don't feel training like in the mornings and things like that. Some stuff is just automatic. So, but calendaring your time is important. When I learned that, I got a lot of stuff checked off. So if you're not doing it, you probably could, gain back a whole lot of time by doing it. So just try it.
And let me pull up this the L Reynolds. I got that over here. So I can have this up here in here as well. Are you guys still using Lamar Reynolds script? Well, because I know Sharenta, sometimes you use something a little bit different. Is that the case? Did you say something?
I don't say Lamar's whole script. For the most part, it's probably just that first line, you know, and speak to the person who handles your DOT violations and CSA scores or something like that. And I normally cut it out there.
Okay. John? You still there, John?
Yeah, I do a version of it that I create to myself. I can't talk like Lamar. I don't have that Texas twang. Doesn't roll off my tongue that well. But it's a version of it, and it depends who I'm talking to also too.
Gotcha. Okay. So look. Oh, go ahead. You gonna say something?
No.
Okay, that's not you. I said that was yours. All right. So just pulling it up here for those that don't know what it is. This is the Lamar Reynolds script. Again, you heard Sharenta say that she talks about it, but she uses a little bit of it. John uses a little bit of it. I'm on the same boat, guys. I don't use this word for word. You shouldn't use anybody's script necessarily word for word because you want to put yourself in it. So when you're looking at this script, right, I'm here to talk to you about your DOT tickets and moving violations that your drivers get. And as you know, sir, so let me just stop there real quickly. When it says violations that your drivers get, only say that if you've pulled the company and you know they have violations. If you pull the company and they don't have any violations, we've heard Sharenta say it's probably not good if you're a newbie to go after those companies. If you don't listen and you go after them anyway, certainly don't say that. Don't say that if you pull the company and they don't have any violations. But you should know what violations they have because you pulled the company, you looked at the safety score, so now you can confidently say that your drivers get, right? And then it's, as you know, sir, or ma'am, it depends on who you're talking to, right? If we have a positive outcome in court, we can now reverse those points off your driver. And as you know, it comes off the driver, it comes off the company safety staff. Now, they say it differently. I'll have them say what they say too as well when they go in and talk. But remember, and again, get some feedback from the other trainers. This is not what you should be saying to the gatekeeper. This is what you should be saying to the safety manager or the person who makes the decision to let you in and talk to the drivers. Now, something else we can get feedback from the other trainers. You're not looking for the decision maker. This is not an HR situation. So when you're saying you're looking for the decision maker, don't confuse yourself if you do regular group and look for the wrong person. I don't call that person the decision maker. Like I don't say that to them. When I'm talking to another associate, I'll say that because I know they know the terminology. But I don't call and say I'm looking for the decision maker. I call and say I'm looking for the person who handles the DOT moving and non-moving violations, something to that effect. I don't say I'm looking for the decision maker because the person answering the phone at a trucking company, the decision maker might be the company owner, which may not be the safety manager. So they may look at decision maker differently than you and I look at it when we're saying it here or in the regular group space. If you say the decision maker because you're calling about benefits, most companies know you're talking about the HR rep. It's not the same thing in this field. So I'm gonna go out to Sharenta first. So Sharenta can say kind of what she says when she calls. And remember, Sharenta also leads a lot of times with the small business plan. But Sharenta, however you're going to lead in, how do you lead in? Do you say your lead-in script to anybody that answers the phone, or do you just say it to the person, the safety manager, once you get them on the phone? Like, how does all of that work for you?
I start off by saying, hello, may I speak to the person who handles your DOT violations and CSA scores? I start with that. Normally, so I prospect companies. Normally when I'm dialing, I'm calling companies with maybe 1 to maybe 1 to 10. Some days I do pop up maybe up to 20, but for the most part, like I'll say during the blitz, when I know it's a focus time, I'm definitely calling like 1 to 10. And what I found is that that person who has that, the number that I'm dialing is the owner. So 9 times out of 10, I know it's the owner. He might not say he's the owner, right? He might not say he's that person. Or he, you know, of course, the main question is, you know, who are you, or who, you know, who's looking for him, or whatever, you know. They always want to know who I am. So, but I do leave, that's my first sentence. I'm calling this, may I speak with the person who handles the deal, may I speak to the person who handles your DLT violations and CSA scores. And okay, say if they say it's them, I say, well, great. I like to know who I'm talking to because I like to call people by their name. So normally I'll say, so what's your name? And, you know, they'll say their name or whatever, and then I'll introduce myself as the commercial legal rep in the area, and we go from there. And normally I say I'm the commercial legal rep, and I come across as if I'm supposed to be calling, not as if I'm soliciting. So a lot of times I do use the, the spiel where I come up with saying that, you know, their report came across my desk. Because I don't want to come off like I'm soliciting. I want them to know that I feel like I'm supposed to be calling them, and the conversation goes on. And I'm normally talking about things that I see on the report. Or I might slow up and just say, because if the conversation is going smoothly, like it's not like stressful, like we're, like it has relaxed on, I might say, may I ask you a few questions? And that's when I go into my spiel of asking the questions. And normally those questions start with around business things that the owner may be dealing with outside of violations. And we'll get to the violations, but for the most part, I'm just trying to learn about the company and the things that he's dealing with. So that's normally how my conversation goes.
Good stuff. I just threw that worksheet in the chat. So just click on that sheet and then open up your Smart Goal form if you don't have one. Don't worry about the stuff that's in there. I've got information in there that's just that I typed in there. All you gotta do is click it and then type, and that'll disappear. So don't worry about that, guys. John.
All right. Well, my approach is a little bit different. I like to drop a name. I do a lot of research on the company, and I look for the owner first, and I say I'm looking for, Robert Dunbar, or the person that handles their CSA scores and company violations that the drivers earn when they're driving a truck. And I go, I don't limit myself to 10 driver companies. I go after some large ones too, but that's why I always want to drop the owner's name if I know the owner's name. It just maybe puts a gatekeeper a little bit on a little bit of a non-defensive mode if I know that she doesn't know the owner, instead of just asking for the safety manager, because that is almost a clue that that you're a sales rep. So that's my opening statement, and then usually on the phone I just try and engage in the conversation. I'm here to talk about your CSA scores and how our nationwide network of transportation attorneys can help you erase those scores by giving your drivers a service that will represent them in court. I'd like to show you some more information about that, and don't really say anything about Legal Shield until we can talk more about it. Most of my calls are actually in-person calls, though. But when I go in person, I'll go in with their safety sheet already printed out. I'll have it highlighted with exactly what their problems are, and it's not really to shame them into anything. It's just I want to show them that maybe they don't know what's happening in their company in a lot of cases, but I want to show them where we could have had an influence. But I also bring another sheet in of companies that I found that have had a lot of positive results, and I want to show them what that looks like when there is a company that has a lot of reversals on their safety score. And so I bring all this stuff in with my aluminum clipboard, of course, my Lamar Reynolds aluminum clipboard, and of course the orange sheet is what I walk in with. If I send them anything, it's usually or leave them anything, it's usually the orange sheet. Or if I send them anything, it's an orange sheet. And right now I'm sending the road check. Again, nothing Legal Shield related. Usually in the initial phone call until we're just creating a relationship with that person, because that's not always the case on the first call basis. You're not going to, get that wide open armed, type of response where people want to know everything about your company.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask a couple of more questions here in a second. I know that Jackie was asking, I know we've talked about this, and it's good to hear different answers from different people. But Jackie Hamilton was asking when Sharanda says she's with the company, like, who are you saying you with? And we can all talk about who we say we're with. So John, matter of fact, your mic is open. Well, no, it's not Sharanda's is. I'm sorry. Sharanda, your mic is open. Go ahead and let us know who you say you're with, and then we'll go to John and see who he says he's with and who I say I'm with and all that kind of stuff.
Well, for the most part, if I am focused on making Legal Shield dials that day, it's no secret. I'm with commercial. I say I'm with Legal Shield Commercial Division. I learned a long time ago not to just start with Legal Shield, because a lot of times when companies have heard of Legal Shield, it's not our commercial division. A lot of people don't know we have services that cater to the commercial drivers. So I learned that in the field. So that's where, and I learned everything I talk about really by knocking on doors and walking into companies, because I did that before COVID. So, my reasoning behind everything is from actual doing the activity and learning. So it's not theory to me. It's actually that's just what I've learned. So I don't just leave it at, oh, I'm with Legal Shield. Now, if it comes up, because I don't open groups and the people didn't know it was Legal Shield, because I was so focused on, what we do. And they were drawn to that, not really the company. But it's not a secret that, I'm with Legal Shield, but I just say I'm with the commercial division of Legal Shield, because like I say, a lot of people don't know we have this product. And if they've heard of it, they've been sold maybe a personal plan or something like that. And they just hadn't been properly prospected. So if they ask that, Jackie, that's what I say. And we go from there. And my normally early in my conversation, when, I'm asking them, do they have any plans or processes in place to help the company with violations? That's one of my, early questions. So I hope that helps.
Good stuff. John?
Yeah, I just say I'm John Hoffman. I'm with Legal Shield, and we have a network of transportation attorneys that is nationwide. And we are here to help people with their driver infractions that they get. And so it's basically very fast about Legal Shield, but I stress that we have a system of nationwide transportation attorneys that seems to get their ear a little bit when they know we're just not helping from the state of California, where I'm from, or whatever state you're from, that we are nationwide. And that kind of puts a little more, I think it puts a little more, gives them more leverage, I think, on what they want to hear from you than if they know that we have that type of service where we can cover them nationwide. Of course, that's only works for companies that are traveling 48 states. You're talking to companies got only with intrastate or then the state you're calling on, the conversation might be a little bit different.
All right, good stuff.
And then too, Dunbar, I'm pausing now, but I just learned over the years that you have about 30 seconds to catch those people's attention on that phone. And if you don't say the right things in the beginning, you lose them. So, may I speak to the person who handles your DOT violations and CSA scores? And if the person doesn't say anything, I, continue on, saying I'm the commercial legal rep, your information came across my desk, calling about setting up a calendar and some time with you to speak about processes, or something. But, I don't let that pause be there because you lose them, you know what I'm saying? So you have to just be ready to say something that can keep them on the phone.
So John says that he's Legal Shield, and he lets them know what Legal Shield is. Sharanda says she's from the commercial drivers division of Legal Shield at some point in the conversation. Is that correct?
Yeah, the commercial division of Legal Shield. Yeah, because I wanted them to know we got that division.
Yeah. And I say commercial division that I stole from Sharanda, but then I say the name of my actual company. So I say the commercial division of Oceanside Benefits Group.
And I mean, sometimes with my company now, but it's some days I get up and I'm just focused on, Legal Shield.
Right.
Because that's when I'm focused on one thing that day, at that moment. Mm-hmm. But yeah, some days I do lead with my own business.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, John is leading with Legal Shield. He's selling memberships every day. Sharanda is leading with the commercial division of Legal Shield. She's selling memberships every day, right? I don't sell memberships every day anymore, but when I was selling memberships every day, I was leading with commercial division of Oceanside Benefits Group. Which is my company that I'm in Legal Shield as a company. So I use that company because I sell Legal Shield through my company. So that's why I do it that way. So how do we agree or disagree on the scripts that we talked about, or the scripts that y'all talked about, because I haven't put anything up on the screen yet, but are you saying this to whoever answers the phone, or are you getting through the gatekeeper first?
Well, I'm saying it to the person who answer the phone because, like I said, I'm intentional about my prospects. Like I'm not calling people with 70 and 50 drivers. Normally I'm not doing that. Am I talking to people like that? I am, because associates are calling those people. But when I'm making my own personal dial, I'm calling. And I'm like John, I don't do it as much as I used to, but like on the weekends when I do have time and I know that I'm gonna put some focus time in dials, I really research who I'm talking to. I research to the point I know who the owner is. So I'm like John, dropping names because I learned. I remember the first weekend when I just researched that Black Friday weekend, that was beneficial to me to be able to ask for the Jermaine, you know what I'm saying? The person who owns the company. And when I'm making some serious dials or I got time on a weekend, I go to that research to find out who the owner is. That's powerful. I mean, the way John talks, he's doing it all the time. I don't do it as much as I used to, but like I say, I stick and stay in that playground where I know that the owner is going to answer the phone. I ain't got to go to the safety guy. I ain't got to go to the secretary they got answering the phone. The owner's normally answering the phone.
Okay, so you're doing the proper amount of research and you're particularly going after companies with a smaller fleet so that you can get to the owner. So your way of getting through past the gatekeeper is with research and calling companies small enough that you can pretty much avoid the gatekeeper. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't research as much as I used to get the owner's name, but I'll say about one weekend out of a month. Like I don't, I'm not out and about, and I will. I'm going to find out. So when I do the research, I got the numbers and I got the owner's name. And that's a powerful thing when you can drop names. When you know the person on the other phone is John. Because John want to know. John feels now you really supposed to be calling him like, this lady got my name. You know what I'm saying? That's a different approach. Because now you calling John by John. John like, who in the world got my number? Who is this on this app? Because they think you DLT, like already, but now you know his name too. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's powerful.
And we talked about that last week. So if anybody missed last week when we talked about CDL relationships, building relationships in CDL when you're making calls, I think the first or second step out of the 5 steps were name dropping, right? Researching, getting the name of who you're calling. So when you call, you're saying, "Hey, this is Robert Dunbar. I'm looking for John," right? Jackie, when you're asking, how can you lead with your company? Like just like I just said a second ago, you just saying, I'm saying, this is Robert Dunbar. I'm calling from the commercial division of Oceanside Benefits Group. I mean, whatever company we're leading with, they don't know anything. Like they don't know anything. We're calling them. They don't know. I'm not gonna say they don't know Legal Shield, but they don't know our purpose of calling. So how we call and lead, that's our control of that conversation. So I always say my company in that, and when it comes down to me mentioning Legal Shield later on, I offer Legal Shield through my company, which is 100% factual. There's no misleading there. Sharanda?
No. That's what, I think you was talking about it when you first came on, or maybe I saw it on your script about the consultants. I know every associate in here that I've field trained have had a call and the people done told them, "Oh, we're working with a consultant." That consultant led with their company, guys. You know what I'm saying? They led with their company, and whether or not they are actually doing the work or they have a partnership with some type of company that they feel can help them with services. That's the same thing I'm doing, and that's the same thing Dunbar does. Like Dunbar has his company, I have my company. I partner with Legal Shield, and I offer Legal Shield as a service through my company. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't own Legal Shield. None of us own Legal Shield. We partner with Legal Shield to offer their products. And so that's what those consultants, they might not, some of them may have a product and some of them may not. But when they call and say they are CDL consultants, they're just a business offering services to that company. That's all. Same thing. And we know everybody don't have their business formation in place. So most people, most of the associates on here are calling as a Legal Shield rep. But like Dunbar has a business, he offers different services within his business. I have a business and I offer different services. And one of those services is Legal Shield that helps with the violation. But that's the same thing those consultants are doing as well. When you guys call them companies and they say they got a consultant, they just call and led with their business name and to offer services for them. That's it. That's all.
Good stuff. And John, what about you? I don't know whether the answer is the same as Sharanda's or not. As far as you, as far as your opening line, you're saying, "Hey, I'm John. I'm a Legal Shield," and you're doing your spiel. Are you saying that to whoever answers the phone, or are you saying that? Are you waiting until you get to the person that you research? What's your process?
I'm going to talk to either the owner or to the person who is in charge of the CSA scores or the driver infractions. I won't leave too much information with the gatekeeper. I'll just call back and try a different time, maybe lunchtime when she's at lunch, maybe, or earlier in the day. But I do spend a lot of time in research. It's called sharpening your axe. I'll spend maybe 4 times more doing research than I will making calls. Maybe it's paralysis by analysis. Maybe get a little too much involved in it, but I could probably with my research spend the next probably year making calls with the people I have. But I like to cherry pick the companies I talk to too. I just don't go down the line. I go through my list and I cherry pick the ones that I think should want to talk to us. That really have issues. The ones that got fined, the ones that got high scores. And those are the ones I'll go after, because I think that's, that's low hanging fruit for us. And there's a lot of low hanging fruit out there.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Good stuff. So we now know, like, I don't say my line to the gatekeeper. That's why I pulled this script up for. And again, this script, I typed this stuff out, Sharanda and John. So when you're looking at this, if you're saying, well, I don't say that, I say this, that's totally fine. So if you guys are saying something different, voice it so that everybody will know, because what everybody says is not going to work for everybody, right? So if there's some different things you're saying, well, no, I wouldn't say that to the person. I would say this, because this is just something that I put together. You see, I got 30 drivers or less. And the reason why that's important is because of what Sharanda said. When you go after big companies, you got more red tape to go through. You got more people answering phones. You got safety directors and supervisory safety directors. And I'm a safety director of the location in this city versus I'm the supervisor of all the locations or whatever the case. I mean, safety manager for all the locations. All of that, you're dealing with all of that. And if you're not experienced in opening up groups, calling on companies, selling to corporations, doing B2B sales, not with Legal Shield, with anybody. If you're not experienced, you should always start with a smaller group. I know that John has a lot of big groups. I don't know if he targets big groups or he just lands what he lands. I know Sharanda goes after smaller groups. So we're going to talk a little bit here about that. So just on the consultant thing, because we hear this a lot. And John and Sharanda, you guys chime in on this. Like, when people say we already have a consultant, like we already have, right? I mean, the gatekeeper says we already have a consultant. Well, that's not why we call it. So first of all, I'm not saying this to the gatekeeper. I'm saying this to you all. Guys, consultants don't do what we do, right? So the first thing you got to understand is with anything else, if you walked in to say something to anybody about anything and they say we already have one of those and you are not one of those, what would you say back to them? Right? We're not consultants. So when they say we already have a consultant, here's a couple things that I say, right? If you don't mind me asking, what does your consultant handle for the company? I'm asking them that because I want them to clearly state what that consultant is doing, so then I can then say what I do, because it's different, right? I work with consultants with some of our other accounts, and their consultants do something totally different than our company. That is something that I'll say. I'll also, right, this is always good line, starting with great, right? Oh, great. But the person says, we already have a consultant. Great. We work with the consultants to make sure that each moving and non-moving violation is being handled in court by a qualified transportation attorney anywhere in the United States. Now, if they're a local company anywhere in the United States, it's not going to make a difference to them, right? So if they're local and you know that, then talk to them in a local standpoint. If they're over the road, then you can say anywhere in the United States. For the most part, what the consultant does and what we do work hand in hand. We fight the violations, and the consultants normally will handle how the result affects the company's safety, right? So that's something that I would say, right? Here's another response. Great. Who do you all have handling the moving and non-moving violations, or are the drivers handling their own? If so, who's monitoring the court results so that the result can be data queued? Those are different things that I'll say when somebody says we already have a consultant. So I'm opening up to Sharanda first and see how she deals with that, whether any of those things work in her world or whether she just says something totally different than that.
Yeah, normally I ask, I say, I understand you have a consultant. I say, but I do know that consultants, they don't fight your violations. I say, because you remember I'm talking to the owner. So I say, can you tell me exactly what the consultant does for you? And 9 times out of 10, they really can't. They're like, they don't really understand. They don't really know. And so I have said to them, I say, well, what I would like for you to do is ask your consultant, because they'll say that their consultant handles their violations. And I'll say, no, they're not handling that because your numbers are bad. That's why I'm calling. Or that's why I'm calling. I say, so I would like for you to ask your consultant exactly what do they do. Because I don't see where none of the violations are being fought. And I know, like you said, Dunbar, consultants can't go to court. And so you have to have someone to fight these violations. And I know consultants don't do that. And because some of the consultants tell these people that these violations can't, they can't, nobody can remove these violations, or they'll say they can go back and remove the old ones. And then when you start to talk to these owners or the companies and let them realize that these numbers are going to fall off. And as a matter of fact, your numbers are going to fall off soon. So it's not that the consultant is doing that. That's just how it works. That's just how it happens. And so when I start to have conversation with them, like I said, a lot of times I ask them to go back and see and talk to the consultant to see exactly what they're doing. And just give them some questions to ask. And so I've had some companies, I had a couple of companies probably in the last 2 months have called back to say that, the consultant wasn't doing what they thought they were doing. So that's how I handle that. I really want to know what they think that consultant is doing for their company, because I know that the consultant isn't doing what we do, and they're not doing what they're telling them that they do. So I want them to, because my goal is to help them, guys. If I don't sell them, it's okay, as long as I help them realize that who you paying is not working for you. So maybe you need to figure out somebody else if you don't want to, work with us. You know what I'm saying? My goal is to help them. That's how I handle that. Over
Good
you,
stuff.
John.
Good stuff. John?
When I come across that, it's usually the consultants that they have that they're really not happy with them. They think they were overpaying for their service. And I'm getting a lot of feedback that way. But what the consultants are doing is they're pre-screening the drivers before they hire them to see what their safety scores they are before they take them onto their company. And a lot of consultants might look at their company CSA scores, and they can't do anything about moving violations. That's where we're different. Okay, that's where we come in handy. Because that's what we do. A consultant might go into their data queue and their safety scores and look for maybe duplicable violations. And I give an example of they might get a ticket for the logbook not being mounted properly, and then the same ticket for the logging device not being visible. Well, it's pretty much doing the same thing. So they might help remove some of those scores for that. But what the consultant does is pretty minor compared to what we do to help the company with their insurance cost, retaining the drivers that they already have, and keeping their CSA score low. Companies that have consultants usually are pretty easy to combat those issues. You just say, well, we're not consultants, but we do go to court for your drivers, and we do help you with those issues, retain your drivers and help you reduce your insurance costs, which is the only thing you can't control. You can't control fuel cost or driver cost, or any other costs that are in social trucking companies, but we can help them control their insurance cost.
Absolutely. Good stuff. All right, guys. So we kind of covered a lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this link in the chat. When you click on that link, it's going to force you to make a copy of the document. It's Google Docs. So when you click on it, it's going to say make a copy. You're going to click it. It's going to open up for you to be able to make a copy for that. It's going to send a request, right, and access to view it, right. So when you click on that, I'll go ahead and do it. It's going to be hitting my email, and I'll click on them right away and get it, and so that I'm just okaying it for you to do it, and you'll be able to have it. So it's 9:45. So, I mean, we got to close out, but I wanted to get through as much as we could. So hopefully, I know we went fast, but you guys know that this is it's on YouTube. So you can go back, you can rewind, you can pause, you can do whatever you need to do. We put this document there, and we put the other document to share, the SMART goal document. We put it inside the chat as well. So both documents are in there. Everything we said, you can go back and listen to, because it's on YouTube right now, so that you can go back and get it. We wanted to get through it because, again, making calls, you need to know what to say. what not to say. You need to schedule the time to make the calls. And I'm telling you guys, and I'll train more on some of this stuff in the future, not right now. But guys, every single thing you're doing in your business, you need to calendar it so that you actually do it. You really need to calendar it so that you actually do it. So don't just say, I'm going to make 20 calls tomorrow, because by putting a 4 in the chat, let me know how many times you said, I'm going to make calls tomorrow. You don't document that anywhere, and you don't make any calls. You don't make any calls because you didn't take it from your brain, right, to action. You've got to take it from your brain to action. If not, guys, all you're doing is talking. You're just talking. You literally have to write things down. And I know it sounds childish. I know it sounds cheesy. I know it sounds like, oh, it doesn't matter whether I write it down. If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Well, guess what? Look at your pattern. Have you done it? Have you done it? Write it down, and you'll see that it works better if you make a SMART goal sheet for everything you do. I don't care how small it is. If you say you can make a sheet for just take a SMART goal sheet and say, I'm going to PC Pro every month. That's it, right? You can do a sheet for just that. I'm a PC Pro every month. Then have another sheet that says I'm going to do 20 calls a day in CDL. You can have another sheet that says I'm going to open up one group a month, right? You need a goal sheet for everything so that your brain knows what you're doing, because there's passing thoughts all day, every day. Your brain don't know what you're taking serious. You're thinking all day long. Your brain don't know what you're actually going to do based on what went through your mind. So, but if you write it down, your brain says, oh, John took that serious. Sharanda took that serious. Wanda took that serious. Vanessa took that serious, right? Clarence took that serious because you took the time to write it down. So that's why it's important to do it that way, as opposed to just saying, I'm going to make calls tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and everything from laundry to kids to getting on trainings in the middle of the day prevent you from actually making the calls. So that's pretty much how it works. Any closing statements, John and Sharanda?
I just hope to see you all in Oklahoma City coming up.
Yep.
All right, so that's good. So I appreciate you guys. I see those coming through. As soon as we hang this up, I'm gonna go right over to my email and click to okay everybody to get in that, and then you can view it and do whatever you need to do with it. So hopefully you guys will benefit from it. See everybody in OKC, and look forward to just meeting week to week and making sure. Don't forget, in April, May this year, May, we're doing the our 4th annual. So it's gonna be after the conference and all that. So don't worry about that. We're gonna get all that. We're gonna do it a little bit different this year, meaning that we're gonna be doing some interviews. We're gonna be talking. Well, John was on here last week, but we're gonna be talking to John about some things, not just having John talk about his process. We're gonna be talking to John about how he's opening up his companies. We're gonna be talking to Sharanda about why she's leading with small business. We're gonna be talking to anybody who earned a ring in CDLP, and we're gonna definitely be talking. I haven't even got his permission yet, but I'm looking to talk to our June on that annual training this year because of what he's done in CDL from start to finish. Earning his ring in that space and being one of the people on the leaderboard consistently because he has really dove in and took all the advice of trainers, took the advice of business solutions in general and really took it serious with a full-time job, guys. Not doing Legal Shield full-time, but with a full-time job, and that's really important. So you guys have a great rest of your week. Close the month off strong. Please travel safe to OKC, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week, Monday. If you can't make it next week, Monday, for whatever reason, don't worry about it. It's going to be recorded. You'll be able to look at it after it's all said and done. So.
All right.
Thank you, guys. It was awesome training.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. And thanks
Thank you. Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all so much. This was good today.
Appreciate you.
Good night, all.
What you trying to tell us, Allison? We ain't good no other day, Allison? What you saying to us?
No, I changed that. I changed it. I changed
Awesome call. Awesome call. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Good night,
I learned a lot. My mind is full.
Sorry. I love the fact that you guys share
Wonderful
from your heart.
training.
Absolutely. You said you love the fact that what?
You guys share from your heart.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep. Yeah. We want everybody to learn. Like I've spoken to John enough. I've worked with Sharon enough to know that don't any of us hold anything back. Like we're not going to give you part of it because we're worried about you catching up to our numbers or outdoing us or earning something we haven't earned. Like we're going to give you everything we have because actually we don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah, I like it. I love
That's
it.
what it is. Yeah. I couldn't keep quiet if I wanted to. Most
Oh,
of y'all, you know,
yeah. It's almost like gospel.
There you go.
I love it. All right, you guys have a good one.
All right, absolutely. You as well.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Can't wait till next week.
Absolutely. Good.
I have some results, I bet you.
There you go. That's it. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for doing this. Gets better and better every week.